Hello, folks. My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. My peoples, where you at? So, got a bit of a depressing story for you guys today. But before we work on that, this is what we are working on, our deranged tentacle beast. We're just going to be adding some detail to it. Only one story that we're going to cover today, a bit of a short stream. That is the story of Max Arezzo. So, those of you who don't know who Max Arezzo is, he is a conspiracy theorist who, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He went outside of Trump's hush money trial in New York and lit himself on fire, self-immolated, which seems to be a thing that's happening a lot lately. Pretty bad stuff. So, if you didn't hear the story, Donald Trump is on trial, finally, a criminal trial for the first time an ex-president has ever been put on trial for a crime. And this is the trial for the Stormy Daniels hush money case, which they kind of got him dead to rights on. So if you guys haven't been keeping track of that, it's going on right now. And as this event happened, they were choosing the jury. But that's not really what we're talking about here. We're not going to talk much about the actual trial and all that stuff. That'll be a different video. This is about a guy. His name was Max Arezzo. Kind of hard to pronounce that. Sorry if I messed that up. And he is not a well person. And he lit himself on fire and burned to death. Why did he do it? Well, it looks like that he was mentally ill. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, because unfortunately he initially survived and then died a few days later. This man was not a well person. Apparently he was depressed, was on antidepressants, things like that. And his friends said that he was highly intelligent and was very peaceful, never hurt anybody, although he did have a couple of priors for criminal mischief and apparently was on probation at the time of his self-immolation. That's the thing, he was on medication and also apparently was a super huge conspiracy theorist, as we will find out here soon. Also, apparently, according to his friends and neighbors, he hadn't been in a relationship pretty much ever. Something they noted in the newspaper article was that he was never seen being in a relationship. So who knows, maybe he was just lonely. These things can kind of compound together. That's the thing. When you get someone who's lonely, when you get someone who's mentally ill, not all the way there, they become very susceptible to things like propaganda. And conspiracy theories tend to be something that people like this will latch on to. And they'll just get really, really into it. And it has a way of taking over their lives. And it's because when you're a little bit loopy yourself, right, when you're not all the way there mentally, you have a tendency to get really into things. Like mentally ill people have a tendency to get obsessed. And just in general, it doesn't matter what the kind of mental illness that you have. But just in general, they have a way of getting obsessed with something. Almost like that thing brings them purpose, or brings them comfort, or any combination of the two. And that definitely looks like this was something that was going on with this guy. It definitely looked like he was living his life trying to spread the word about these so-called scandals and conspiracies that he uncovered. And didn't really work out too well for him. And the other thing about the story is that he doesn't really look like he was a rabid liberal or Democrat or progressive or even a MAGA supporter. It kind of looked like he was an anti-government kind of conspiracy theorist, because his personal politics didn't seem to be left or right. And you get that a lot with conspiracy theorists like this. You know, they'll kind of say that both sides are the same kind of thing, and that it's the elites that are taking over and stealing from everybody. Another thing is that he posted online that he had great admiration for Aaron Bushnell. And if you remember Aaron Bushnell, we did a stream on that when that happened. That was the soldier who went in front of the Capitol building and basically self-immolated there in protest to free Palestine. Difference is that this guy was mentally ill. Aaron Bushnell was not mentally ill. He appeared to be of sound mind. This guy, Max Arezzo, Not of sound mind at all. What exactly was he on about here? Right. Well, the guy had a manifesto, and it's yeah, pretty telling. And we're not going to read the entire thing, obviously, but I do want to kind of post it here so I can show it to you guys. So we'll just very, very briefly kind of go over this dude's manifesto. This is the Ponzi Papers, and it's still up. It's on Substack. It says, I have set myself on fire outside the Trump trial. My name is Max Arezolo. I am an investigative researcher who has set himself on fire outside of the Trump trial in Manhattan. This extreme act of protest is to draw attention to an urgent and important discovery. We are victims of a totalitarian con, and our own government, along with many of their allies, is about to hit us with an apocalyptic fascist world coup. These claims sound like fantastical conspiracy theory, but they are not. I didn't read that wrong, by the way. That's exactly how it's written. These claims sound like fantastical conspiracy theory, but they are not. They are proof of conspiracy. If you investigate this mountain of research, you will prove them too. If you learn a great deal about Ponzi schemes, you will discover that our life is a lie. If you follow this story and the links below, you will discover the rotten truth of post-truth America. You will learn the scariest and stupidest story in world history, and you will realize that we are all in a desperate state of emergency that requires your action. Just to want to point out exactly what his general conspiracy stuff was all about. He basically says that there was a run on this bank, the Silvergate Bank, which happened a little while back. If you remember, a bunch of banks in Silicon Valley kind of went under last year. I think it was last year, maybe it was in 2022. Very recently, a whole bunch of kind of small lenders went under, and so this is what he's sort of connecting this to, right? And this is one of those banks, Silicon Valley Bank, and it went under, and it invested in a lot of cryptocurrency, right? And that was a real event. And this is something that you need to remember when it comes to conspiracy theorists like this, is that they'll take real events, and sometimes events, most of the time actually, events that really don't have much to do with each other or have the smallest of connections, just the briefest of like superficial connections, and they'll draw conclusions with that as if they're kind of uncovering some kind of big, huge scandal or state secret, when in real life it's like, no, that's not true. But let's read a little bit here, right? Last March, a billionaire named Peter Thiel started a bank run on the Silicon Valley Bank. I knew enough about Thiel that I found this incredibly suspicious. My hunch was that this was intentional, though I couldn't fathom why. I began investigating online, quickly found cryptocurrency's fingerprints all over it. The bank run occurred just days after Silvergate Bank, which catered almost exclusively to crypto companies, collapsed. Meanwhile, several crypto cheerleaders were all over financial media warning of a regional banking crisis, and nobody in the media was addressing the clear crypto connections. That actually happened. There actually was a regional banking crisis, and a bunch of banks went under. Here's the thing about it, though. Was it all because of cryptocurrency? I mean, some of it, yes. But this guy then goes on to link a bunch of things like this, saying that cryptocurrency is a multi-trillion-dollar Ponzi scheme. And let me just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can actually read that. This is what he writes. These are like his main points here, okay? Cryptocurrency is our first planetary multi-trillion-dollar Ponzi scheme. It was expressly created for this purpose by a laundry list of rich and powerful people out of Stanford, Silicon Valley, and Harvard, Facebook. That's the first signal that something is amiss in this dude's reasoning. See how he just sort of linked Stanford and Silicon Valley and Harvard, Facebook together like that? Trying to say that these institutions are one and the same, or that they're the same people that are running Harvard also run Facebook. That's what that does when you see something like that. And this is a rhetorical trick that conspiracy theorists do all the time. And you also notice that there's actually no evidence put here that Stanford controls Silicon Valley, or that Harvard controls Facebook, or that they're even linked. And how are they linked? Like, he doesn't explain any of that. He just put it there, and then the reader makes that connection in their mind. So that's the first kind of thing there, right? So we're just going to kind of read the points. We're not going to read the whole thing. The March 23 bank failures were all intentional. When the Ponzi scheme goes insolvent, it will take down half the stock market with it. It is a Ponzi scheme so large it created global inflation. So basically, what he's saying is that cryptocurrency has created a Ponzi scheme, which is so gigantic that it's causing all of these banks to collapse. And then that's also going to take down the entire world economy very, very soon. And here's the thing, right? Cryptocurrency is sketchy. Another thing that conspiracy theorists often do is that they incorporate little nuggets of truth here and there. Cryptocurrency is sketchy, and for the most part, is like a Ponzi scheme. Pretty much every coin except Bitcoin and then maybe Ethereum is essentially worthless. All the other like little coins out there, things like fucking Fetch AI or Dogecoin or Garlic coin, stuff like that, all that shit's worthless. It's never going to make any money. You're never going to, if you put money into it, you're going to lose your money. And that's the thing about cryptocurrencies, is that they're unregulated, and that's why they can get away with shit like that. But is it a multi-trillion-dollar Ponzi scheme created by Harvard, Facebook, or Stanford and Silicon Valley in order to steal the entire country's money and then collapse the economy? Like, no. Right? No, but that's what this guy is basically doing here. Like, so right when you start getting right around here, it starts getting really nutty. In order to explain the massive anomaly, our criminal government unleashed COVID on the world and told us these were the stay-at-home stocks. So in order to facilitate this Ponzi scheme, the powers that be, the government, created the coronavirus and unleashed it in order to facilitate this Ponzi scheme. YouTube, I am debunking this. I do not actually believe this. I am debunking it. I always have to put that on there to make sure that YouTube and Twitch don't kick my shit. Right? They don't get rid of my video or my stream because the fucking bots can't tell the difference. That's what the conspiracy theory is, right? Starts getting a little more wacky. So it goes from that, right? Something that's kind of plausible. Like, you could almost believe that, right? That, okay, these banks were dealing in cryptocurrency and it was a Ponzi scheme. You could almost believe that. And then it goes from that to the Rona was engineered. And then in this section, we've got actors and stuff and sex tapes. Here we go. Notably, actor Rob Lowe, who was supporting Dukakis, was victim of a teen sex blackmail operation at the DNC that year. Since we know Clinton is a close associate with teen sex blackmail artist Jeffrey Epstein, we can suddenly make perfect sense of the nonsensical speech. By applying this lens, Bill Clinton is a cocky mob boss who blackmailed Mike Dukakis because Dukakis thought his job was to help the public. He teases out the future public revelation that Kitty Dukakis drank rubbing alcohol and offers a strange anecdote about the crack epidemic that reveals he is an exceedingly proud drug runner. See, where did all this shit just pop out of nowhere? And that's another thing you'll get in these, if you've ever read this type of manifesto before. One thing that conspiracy theorists can't ever really seem to get down, something that they can never do, is that they never stick to the subject. They always go all over the goddamn place. Then it goes down, and this is where it gets really wacky. He starts talking about The Simpsons. Okay? Now he starts talking about The Simpsons as a vehicle of, and it's called in conspiracy circles, it's called predictive programming. That's what they call when the elites try to code something into a TV show in order to put it out, in order to brainwash everyone. They call that predictive programming. Okay, let's read a little bit about how The Simpsons brainwashed people, huh? Let's see. One of the key findings of this research is that Harvard University is one of the largest organized crime fronts in history, which is how they churn out billionaires. It's a major hub of this sprawling criminal network. As it turns out, dozens of the writers of The Simpsons went to Harvard, so I asked myself the question, if The Simpsons served the interest of organized crime, how would it do so? Well, it offers a dysfunctional family suffering from moral decay, a community incapable of solving its problems, a worker drone who slaves away for an evil billionaire, and a cathartic laughs for our poor collective circumstances. Now, the reason I read this part to you guys is the logical leaps that this person makes, okay? He leaps from this, Harvard University, calling Harvard University one of the largest organized crime fronts in history. Some of the writers of The Simpsons went to Harvard, therefore The Simpsons must be a tool of organized crime. With no proof, no evidence. And here's the thing, right? That should be something that would be very easy to prove, wouldn't you think? If you were really, because here's this guy would go around and introduce himself as an investigative reporter, a journalist. Well, one of the things that journalists actually do is they actually investigate things. So don't you think it'd be very easy to go find a particular episode and find out who the head writer was on that episode and where he went to school and whether that guy has any connections to any of these types of criminal organizations? Don't you think that would be very easy to do? See, that's the thing you got to remember. People like this, and even professionals that do shit like this, like Alex Jones, for example, they don't actually investigate anything. They speculate. What we just read was speculation. He speculated that the writers of The Simpsons were part of this crime family, and then suddenly it became true in his head, and he even begins to list specific episodes, like this one. In Lisa the Iconoclast, Lisa discovers that the town founder Jebediah Springfield was a secret criminal con artist, and that the townsfolk's lives are a lie. Realizing this is an important discovery, she desperately tries to get the townsfolk to listen to her, but they meet her with hostility, apathy, disbelief, and partisanship, and she fails to get through to them. Ultimately, she realizes the town is so far gone that perhaps it's better for them to be lied to by con artists, and she keeps the secret to herself. So that episode was part of the deep state conspiracy, I guess? That was part of the Harvard crime family? Why? What the hell does that have to do with a Ponzi scheme created by Harvard and Facebook in order to steal all of the money in the goddamn world? I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars, right? Let's see. Lastly, let's read this one. Lastly, we string these major discoveries together. Cryptocurrency is an economic doomsday device. Our government is a secret kleptocracy. The Simpsons exist to brainwash us. From there, the only research we need is critical thinking, and we're able to piece together the true story of our circumstances. And that's another rhetorical trick these guys use. Oh, you just need critical thinking. Oh, it makes logical sense. Oh, you don't need actual proof. You don't need actual evidence. You don't need the receipts. You don't have to find the orders written down or the bank statements or the paychecks or anything like that. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just have to use your critical thinking skills, and then you'll see that it makes sense, that it's true. It's ridiculous. This is classic conspiracy theory whack-a-loon thinking. It's like borderline magical thinking. Maybe I'll put links to this stuff down in the thing. But it goes on, here's some more. We are in a totalitarian doomsday cult, blah, 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 right? Then he brings George Herbert Walker Bush into it in 1988. He brings Stanley Kubrick here, the Manson family murders, Walt Disney, right? The Beatles. Like, he just kind of starts listing all of this shit. All of this stuff that has nothing to do with anything else. Why did The Simpsons creator Matt Groening create a comic strip called Life in Hell so we would believe it? Like, so what? The evil Harvard Facebook conspiracy, they control Matt Groening now? So, like, that comic strip came out in, like, 1986, by the way. Life in Hell. I know it because I have all of the little books. I have all the Life in Hell books that he published before The Simpsons came out. So what? So this goes all the way back to 1986? Is that what it was? When, Matt Groening was a guy that worked at a record store, and he started drawing comics and selling them at his record store, and they got popular. And before you knew it, he was making cartoons for Tracy Ullman. And then before you knew that, The Simpsons came out, and the rest is history. So, like, what? Like, while he was, like, working in a record store, did George Soros come up to him and, like, bribe him to, like, name his comic strip Life in Hell? Is that what fucking happened? Like, all conspiracy theories, they fall apart on the most minute of examination. You don't even have to get actual proof to know that this is bullshit. So there's that, and then he also has another thing here. This is his other sort of pamphlet that he put out, which is also on Substack called Dipshit Secrets of Our Rotten World, which is actually kind of, this is the thing that he would print out and pass around. You're going to reach more people with a pamphlet than you will on the internet where millions of people can see it. So anyway, yeah, that guy kind of not on all four thrusters. Of course, what do the actual conspiracy theorists think of this guy? Like, so remember, this guy went up, he burned himself alive. He's dead after posting a bunch of crazy bullshit to the internet. So what do the actual conspiracy theorists out there on Reddit and Twitter and elsewhere think of him? They think he's a goddamn hero. Here's one for you. This is from Our Conspiracy, New Hero. And then he posts the entire pamphlet that he was giving out. They're treating this guy like he's like he's George Washington. Another one, this is on Conspiracy Commons on Reddit. This is what the guy looks like, by the way. I believe the federal government is entirely responsible for how Max Azarello situation went down. Biden has become such an embarrassment to our country, the FBI needed something to make Trump look bad. Now, I'm not going to read this random shit here, but basically it's this poster on Conspiracy Commons basically trying to say that this was a plant by the deep state, which is unfucking believable. Like, this was 1 day ago, like 1 day after this shit happens. There's already some fucking wackaloon, tinfoil hat wearing nutcase trying to bend this around for his own political gain. A man is dead. Can we not exploit him? If he was alive, that's one thing, but he's dead. He's dead, okay? Let's not fucking bastardize his reputation even more. He's already going to go down in history as a fucking crazy person. Let's not use him for our own designs here. It's fucking disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Here's another one from Reddit. Definitely CIA operative who went rogue. And this is the guy Max here when he was young. Here's Max, the guy who lit himself on fire with Bill Clinton. Just going to drop this here. Why exactly would he be a CIA operative? Because he met the president 30 years ago? So this guy was 37, right? This picture has to be at least 18 years old. I mean, look how young this dude is. Okay, he can't be more than 19, 20 here. So, yeah. I mean, Bill Clinton hasn't been president since, like, what, fucking 1998? Right? Or 2000, excuse me. He hasn't been president since fucking 2000, so probably 24 years ago. All right, the guy was probably, like, 15 or whatever in this fucking photo. So that's the first thing. Second thing, just because you meet a president and get a picture taken with him, that means you're a CIA operative? I mean, first off, there's thousands and thousands of people get their pictures taken with the president every year at like events and rallies and speeches and stuff like that. So all of those people are CIA operatives? You know, here's a guy. Have you guys ever heard of the legend of Broccoli Man? This is Broccoli Man. And he goes out and he goes to protest, or at least he used to. Yeah, this is from like literally the year 2000, like 20 years ago, right? And he would go out and he would basically troll at protests. Like there's one of these where it says like, here it is. I don't know if you can read that right here, but I can't make this picture any bigger. Let's see, can I zoom in on that? Basically his picture here says vegetables against masturbation pornography. You see that picture? This is Broccoli Man, right? And, you know, so I guess like that picture got inside of this magazine, you know, Bazaar or whatever. And here's him hanging out with Jesse Ventura. And here's a picture of Broccoli Man without his mask on, meeting George W. Bush. Does that mean Broccoli Man was part of the CIA? There's actually a video here if you want to. I'm not going to download the video, but it's just like a news little snippet of some like local news station. The Secret Service basically took away his mask. I guess you're not allowed to wear a costume with the president because you might have like a gun hidden in there or some shit. So is this guy like supposed to be a CIA agent because he like had a picture with the president once? I wonder whatever happened to this guy. Broccoli Man, by the way. madmartian.com, that's the guy. Anyway, so yeah, pretty fucking crazy shit. Of course, we haven't really scratched the surface of all of this yet. we haven't even gotten to freaking Twitter. So we've got all kinds of shit to talk about on Twitter. Here's a few that I think you guys are really gonna like. Let me open this up here. First off, let's look at Laura Loomer. This is Laura Loomer on Twitter. Deceased protester who lit himself on fire outside Trump hush money trial once worked for Democrat congressman who hates Donald Trump. This was 100% political. The media will never report the truth. Max Arezzo was a socialist who loved Bernie and Obama. Does Laura Loomer have any proof of that whatsoever? No. After one day, the actual legit news had all the info they needed on this guy. And no, he was not a socialist, right? He was not a communist. He wasn't put there as a plant by the CIA in order to make Trump look bad. Nothing like that could be. It could be further from the fucking truth. Okay, that couldn't be further from the fucking truth. Does this woman had any evidence at all of this? No, she's just smearing this person, this dead person, for her own political fucking gains. Okay. This is Gene Trevino. Yeah, this is totally stupid. This is how totally stupid the MAGA cult are. Yes, this is 100% political. The Democratic Party paid Max Arezzo to set himself on fire outside the courthouse in defiance of Donald Trump's trial. Makes total sense. Why didn't you mention how Max Arezzo sued the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation in April of 2023? The only one making this political is you and your dumbass, Laura Loomer. Are you sure this guy wasn't your husband or boyfriend with all the conspiracy theories you and he believes in? Hear, hear. But still, it's fucked up. We shouldn't be doing this, folks. Okay? When somebody goes and who's obviously not all there and does something like this, takes their own life, we shouldn't be using them as pawns in the political ownage game that we have to go through every time there's any kind of news story. And that's the thing. It's like anytime anything happens, these fucking cretins are like posting this shit back and forth about it. It's, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm glad this dude here, Gene Trevino, told fucking Laura Loomer to fuck off because she deserved it. But at the same time, it's like, man, let the guy fucking rest. Let the dead rest. Okay, it's not cool. All right, it'd be one thing if it was just some crazy guy that got arrested or whatever. But no, this guy Max, whatever his name is, Reslo, right? I keep butchering his name. This guy had friends. He had a family. Okay, he's got people grieving for him. The last thing they need to see are you two guys bickering and fighting, using him as a fucking weapon against each other. That's bullshit. Some other crazy, insane conspiracy theorists here. This is somebody named Amy. Mad Max, sticking at your tongue is the occult equivalent of the devil's naked tongue of sinful manifestations, plus one eye. What the fuck is Amy here talking about? This is basically New World Order bullshit, Illuminati shit. You ever see pictures of somebody with a pyramid in front of their eye or something like that? There's an entire subset of conspiracy theorists who all they do is they go around and find every instance of a celebrity wearing an eye patch or holding one hand in front of their eye or making a little circle over their eye, something like that, with their, making an okay sign over their eye, and claiming that that is all part of some Illuminati satanic ritual. Just winking and making a funny face now is enough to get you lumped in with the Satanists, huh? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. This woman here, she actually thinks it was fake. This is 58 seconds long. Let's listen. This is Movie Watcher. Actually, it looks like Movie Watcher isn't actually... She's the one that's posting it. Movie Watcher, gotta admit, this does raise some questions.
I've seen better fake burn victims on Grey's Anatomy. Now, obviously, I can't put the footage up, but it's all over X how they put him on the stretcher and wheeled him into the back of an ambulance. Someone who's fully engulfed in flames would have second and third degree burns, which means your skin's literally falling off. They picked him up by his forearms and his ankles and tossed him onto a stretcher. No backboard, no burn blanket, no IV, no airway, no oxygen. His arms were up when he was on the ground, and then when they put him on the stretcher, he moves his arms down. No burn blanket.
First off, YouTube, Twitch, I am debunking this woman. Okay, just want to let you know. Secondly, you're not a medical professional just because you watch a TV show. Just because you watch Grey's Anatomy, and you've seen how they treat burn victims doesn't mean you're suddenly a fucking doctor. You can see the video on X right now, on Twitter, right now, if you want to, where he was still alive. And, you know, what she says, oh, his skin was falling off? Yeah, that's exactly what was going on. Oh, he was covered in third-degree burns? Yes. He was definitely covered in third-degree burns. You can look it up. I'm not going to post it here because I don't want to get my channel struck. But it's there on, you know, because you can find sick-ass video of anything you want now on fucking Twitter. And it's still up. And you will see that, yes, it is not fake. The man definitely has burns like she's describing because she's a goddamn moron who thinks that everything you see on TV is real.
If you work in healthcare, that should be flag number 1. So they wheel him across the square after strapping him down to the gurney with no covering, which would rip more skin off, FYI. And you can see that he doesn't lose any of his hair or his tighty whities, which is good since he's completely uncovered. But he's gray. He's all one color. He's not even black. Can't see modeling, pink, nothing. Kind of like he's wearing a suit. And then they just roll him into the back of the rig like it's nothing.
Yeah. He's gray because he's covered in basically his entire skin is like destroyed. If you see it, you see the picture, you'll tell the dude is fucked up, right? He's actually still alive as they're wheeling him out. He's in shock. And they're basically rushing him to the hospital is what they're doing. So yeah, you know, like she says, oh, they didn't put oxygen, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they didn't have time. Maybe they realized, oh shit, he's alive. We got to get him to the hospital as soon as they fucking can. And maybe these guys weren't the best paramedics. Have you ever considered that? Have you considered that not every paramedic is the best paramedic? And maybe they didn't know what they were supposed to do. I mean, I don't know what the procedure is when you have a burn victim like that. So how can I say what they did was one way or another? Maybe we should actually talk to a real paramedic and get their fucking opinion on it. But regardless, the guy died shortly thereafter. He's dead now. He's gone. So no, it wasn't fake. And I just wanted to play that one for you because now there's going to be people who, for the rest of their lives, are going to think that somebody went and faked this event in front of Trump's fucking trial in order to derail the trial and get bad media attention so Trump will go to jail. That's what they're going to think for the rest of their lives, for the end, till the end of time. Because shit like this, it's like even if you disprove it, even when you debunk it, it takes on a life of its own. And it just spreads and spreads and spreads. And 20 years from now, some fucking guy is going to bring this shit up. 20 years from now, some guy's going to be like, remember how the deep state did everything they could against Donald Trump in order to stop him from getting reelected? You remember that? They had guys burning themselves on fire outside of his fucking trial and all that shit. It's like you can't stop it. I mean, even if you do everything you can to debunk this stuff. And this is a really good example. This guy, Max Arazello. God damn it. Sorry, I keep butchering this dude's name. This guy is a perfect example of why you can't allow this stuff to remain unchallenged. If you have friends or family who are into this kind of thing, please intercede. Do an intervention. Do something. Talk to them. Talk to them about it. Try to engage their rational mind. Try to get them to turn on their bullshit meters. All right? Don't let it go unchecked because this is the result. We've got a serious problem with these people in this country, folks. It seems to just get worse and worse every day. You can't believe anything you hear in the news anymore. You got people thinking that there's global conspiracies going left, right, and center, that every single person out there who's famous is involved in all that. It's only a matter of time before one of these guys goes crazy, shows up, and there's mass shootings. I mean, it's not like that hasn't happened in the past. It's only a matter of time before it happens again. It's only a matter of time before there's a large loss of life because these fucking people aren't getting the help they need. I don't know. It's fucked up, folks. That's all I got. Everybody out there, stay safe, stay cool, and I will talk to you all later. Adios.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.